Hi, I'm Justin Britch. I'm the lead producer on Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. We've been super happy with how the game's been doing, both from critical reception and also just from the reaction we're seeing from our fans. You know, it's kind of geeky to say, but we're huge fans of our own games. We make these games because we want to play them ourselves. So getting the chance to share the game with other people who love these types of kind of old school RPGs has been just such an amazing blast to see everyone just really geek out and be happy about the same stuff that we've been, working on for the last couple of years. So really for me, it was all the really cool ways that the factions were going to work with each other and not work with each other as the game progressed. The choices that you were making at the end of the game and really making some tough choices about who you were going to align yourself with, I found really fun when I was playing through the game in my own personal playthrough, and I was excited to see how people would have liked that in the game. And plus, obviously, we just put a bunch of little nods and secrets and areas in the game that we never talked about before the game came out, and just seeing people play those on streams or talk about them on forums. It's just been really fun and gratifying because I've been wanting to see what people thought about those areas myself, and it was great to see people just really enjoy them as much as I hoped they would. So I mean, along the lines of factions, we've been a little surprised with how many people say, all these factions, they all have their own problems. So, you know what? Screw them all, I'm just gonna go my own independent way. Which is something that we really wanted to make sure was a totally valid and welcome choice, to say, no, I'm gonna do my own independent thing. But we were surprised at how many people just said, ooh, wow, this is a complex situation. They all kind of have their downsides, so you know what? The hero is I'm gonna go take my own route. We were surprised at how many people took that route, but it's exciting to see either way. Yeah, so something that we really pride ourselves on is really caring about our community and just being very, very involved in the things that they're talking about and what they want to see in the game. We just put out a patch about a week ago that actually added some of the features that people were asking for. Really simple stuff like being able to pick the color of your character's eyes. People really wanted to be able to match their portrait, and that's something that we had never even talked about doing before the release of the game, but we saw a bunch of people talk about it and we put it in. And so there's a bunch of things that people have been talking about online or asking for that we've started to create roadmaps for how can we do this. Because kind of like I said at the beginning, we're big fans of our own game, and so a lot of times people are just recommending things we would love to see ourselves. And we really found that supporting Pillars of Eternity 1 for a long time after it came out made an amazing game, and we're really happy with where Pillars of Eternity 1 is today from when it came out, back in 2015. So we're really excited to continue to support Deadfire for a long time and really just keep adding stuff that people are asking for and that we want to see ourselves. So what we've already announced so far is that we do have a season pass that includes 3 DLC that's going to be coming out over the course of this year. Our first DLC is scheduled out to come out next month. Unfortunately, looking at my handler over there, I don't think we're ready to talk about any of the details of the DLC quite yet, but we're pretty soon going to talk about it. But it's going to be some really amazing stuff headed by an awesome team that's been doing some pretty awesome work. So we actually really enjoy the world that we've created in the Pillars of Eternity universe, in the world of Eora. There's a lot of really interesting dynamics there that we feel make it very different than a traditional fantasy RPG, while still having a lot of the tropes that you kind of want to see and play in. And so we actually want to continue to just keep exploring in this universe because we feel there's so many stories we haven't told. we've never released any kind of official world map of the game, but internally we have one, and we're just looking at all the places we haven't really gone yet, and it excites the team to talk about what can we do next. So obviously, if you just look at the cultures that you can select during character creation, there's some really interesting places in there, like Rawatai, like Adir, like the Living Lands, like the White Wens, and all these places, we haven't put a ton of information about in the game, but even what's there, we're pretty excited about what it would mean for some game to take place, in that space. And there's actually a lot of other cultures that aren't necessarily those big main ones that we called out that could potentially populate the world, but we'll come to that as it comes up. So there's still a lot of room to play in. Well, that's a very leading question, but really we did take a look at those Infinity Engine games and we said, what would it mean if one of those games were made 15 to 20 years later? We wanted to just continue on, what if Baldur's Gate was continually made over this entire period of time, where would it end up? And that's where we wanted to be. In no ways would we ever talk bad about the way any other RPG is set up. It's just what things you're going to choose to focus on, and the type of experiences we really want to focus on are kind of just what is also core to Obsidian. It's the choices and reactivities and these deep dialogues and these deep combat systems that go back to tabletop gaming, and that's just what we know best because that's what we like to play ourselves. And so we just like to continually ask, how do we take this really to its next stage in making the best possible game we can? And it's been exciting to explore a space that there's not a whole lot of people in, and we're really excited to see what's been done and what's been done by other companies, just by Larian and stuff like that. It's really exciting things. We're constantly talking about what that actually means, and that can go so many different directions. That's either the game being more reactive in ways that even we ourselves with our kind of bespoke handcrafted content can't do. That might mean doing things like online experiences and being able to play with your friends, because there's nothing quite like playing a role-playing game with your friends around a table. What we ultimately want to get to is making it so that the choices you are making really feel like they matter, and you can obviously tell that the world is different because of it. And it's something that's really easy to do in a tabletop game, and it's something that we're constantly chasing in a computer game like Pillars of Eternity. But I think that's the goal that keeps us, getting up in the morning and coming into work is getting closer and closer one day at a time.